Fanatic and Ivan. And it's been real special to be here at this convention, celebrating my anniversary today of 21 years, and having the Midwest Open Forum here, and guys I sponsor, got a friend that I sponsor came up from Atlanta, Georgia to be here, and it's really, really blessed, and a lot of feelings. I was doing a whole lot better about 7 o'clock. I was pumped up, and 9 o'clock was okay, and I'm tired now. But I'll get there, because one of the things that gets me going is having the opportunity to share here and let it out, you know. And people have been asking me, "You nervous? You nervous? You nervous?" And no, I wasn't nervous, and I just was sitting down there and started reading the steps. I got nervous. I said, "Thank God," because you know, if I'm not nervous, or whatever you want to call it, when I get up here, then I'm going to just go ahead and stick my foot in my mouth and not do the right thing. So I'm okay right now. What I want to share about is I've got this thing, and I'm self-diagnosed on this one. You know, I get the dual diagnosis stuff and this and that. You know, there is not an addict on this planet, or in probably the whole universe, that doesn't have more than one problem, or addiction, comes first. But every addict I know is depressed when they stop using drugs. I mean, you're giving up your lover, your wife, your best friend, the one thing you focus on all the time. Yeah, you get a little depressed. I've self-diagnosed myself with this thing called ADD, and I don't want to do any outside issue kind of stuff. So ADD, I know you know what that means, but what it means to me, it means addict deficit disorder. Okay, and we all got it. We all got it, and that's one of the things that makes this such a beautiful thing. So what's going to happen here, and I'm getting a little bit older, and I can blame it on all the other drugs I took and stuff like that, but the reality is I don't have a really good memory. So I'm going to stand up here, and I'm going to be talking. And it's going to sound like I'm trying to talk as fast as I can think, but I can't do that. And if I did, you wouldn't be able to really understand, or no, I wouldn't be able to understand it. But so my brain's going to go over here, and I'm going to be thinking about this one thing I want to share on. It's going to remind me of something else. I'm going to share that, and I'm going to share on something else from that. And I may never get back to what I originally started sharing about. But it doesn't matter, because you're going to be able to follow me everywhere I go. So we're good on that one. I want to let you know that for me today, this fellowship is about love. That's it. That's what my higher power is. It's about love. I love God. I love this fellowship, and I love the program of Narcotics Anonymous. And I separate that, the fellowship and the program of Narcotics Anonymous. Now, to me, and I'm going to share opinions. I mean, that's what we do up here. To me, the program of Narcotics Anonymous, 12 Steps and 12 Editions, or spiritual path, is perfect. The fellowship, that's us. We are a bunch of messed up individuals. Okay, so if you're having a thing and you're going through some stuff with, they said this at this meeting over here, and that person did this, and this person did that, and this thing doesn't work. That ain't the ticket. You're mixing up the fellowship with the program. See? So people going around saying, "Well, I'm working my program. Well, that's the problem. You're supposed to be working the program, not your program. I don't have any time in the time we have to talk about the 22 years that I used. Next year, I will have as much clean time as I did using time. I stay clean. And I've been looking forward to that one for a little while. I have been through more in the last 21 years of my recovery than I went through in the 22 years using. Because when I went through 22 years of using, of course, the jails and the institutions and all that other stuff that we all know about in the sick, but I didn't do much else. See, now today, I have a life. And in my life, I go through things, and things happen, and people die, and relationships end, and we go to jail in recovery. You don't have to use to get arrested, break the law. Antisocial behavior. I thought that meant antisocial. How can I be antisocial? I have so many friends, and everybody loves me. And they said, no, antisocial means that you have an anti-establishment. You don't follow rules and okay, that's me. I'm antisocial. And bottom line is, I didn't pick up, I didn't use, no matter what. My friend Rick now introduced me to that, but he also gave me my medallion this year, which is nice. He lives in Mansfield. I was living in Sydney at the time. Now that I'm married, I moved, but Mansfield's about 2.5 hours from where I live. And on a Thursday night, he came to my home group 2 years ago when I celebrated 19 years to celebrate my anniversary with me. And I don't know, short notice, whatever like that, but they weren't able to get a 19-year coin at that time. So he did all this nice things all the time. He gave me a 13-year coin, a 4-year coin, and 2 1-year keychains. that was really cool. I really liked that. So what's going to happen? I don't have to share about using, because if you didn't know how to use, you wouldn't be sitting here listening to me in the first place. And I wish I could tell you in detail some of the things that I've been through over the years that have led me to the understanding that I have today, but I don't remember that kind of stuff. I just know what's in here. Or I like to think I know what's in here. At least I know, and I'm getting better with that. I was working on, I'm on a 10th step right now, where my sponsor just got done with the 9th, but doing the 6th. And the people say stuff about, the 4th step, you got to write down your personal inventory and stuff like that. That ain't it, man. Steps 6 through 9, that's where it happens, man. That's where the changes come. That's what this stuff is about, man. So have fun on that one. So I'm doing this thing, and I'm working on the character defects and the shortcomings, and I've been through this a number of different times, and so I don't have as many, at least that I'm aware of, as before. And that's the great thing about understanding that the steps are a process that we go over and over again, because we can only be entirely ready to have God remove the defects of character that we're aware of. Okay? And then as we work through the steps, we can be, oh yeah, I got that one too, and this one that. So there's 2 things right now that I've been working on for a while. One is, it's not okay for me anymore to say, well, I'm getting better, as an excuse to do some of the same stuff we do over and over again. The insanity for me today is not about doing the same things over again and expecting different results. The insanity for me today is doing things over and over again, knowing what the results are going to be, and doing it anyway. That's how crazy we are. And there's another thing that I do, and I'm not remembering what it is right now. But I'll remember it probably before we get done here. And 1 o'clock we're out of here because I got to go to sleep. I'm tired. So I'm going to talk a little bit about, and they are opinions, I guess, concepts that I have, ideas of how I conduct my life today. And you need to know up front that it's as a result of working these steps in my life, and as a result of practicing the traditions as well. I believe the steps help us to live with us. The traditions help us to live with others. In short, the steps help us from committing suicide, and the traditions help us from committing homicide. Okay? So we learn about the steps by working steps with our sponsor. We learn about the traditions by getting involved in service. The theme for this convention is the broad of the base. Now, I don't know how this works out, that I remember some things from school and not others. And of course, in school I learned a lot of stuff that I never really need to know. But the way it works is we have a pyramid as our symbol. The point of the pyramid is the point of freedom. There are 4 sides to the pyramid, and if you only have 3 sides, your pyramid's tipping over. Okay, so we got self, society, God, and service. Doesn't go that way. It goes God, self, society, and service. Okay. So the broader the base, and if you just if I do a little square right here on this table, that the base is this. The point of freedom is going to be here. If I use this as the base, the point of freedom is going to be here. If I use this room as the base, point of freedom is way up there. The broader the base, the higher the point of freedom. Balance. That's what this program is about. I look around the room, see people I know and love, see people I don't know and love, and this convention is a favorite of mine. And the convention is a good one because it's about spiritual principles here. I have seen conventions lose tons of money, having all these other things that go on that are not a part of our primary purpose. Money, property, and prestige divert us from our primary purpose, and we get caught up in that. And I look around the room, and I see, and I need to let you know this too. As far as I can tell, there are only two types of people on this planet, and that's men and women. There is a difference between men and women. Other than that, there are no differences. I don't care how old, what color, what religion, how much money you got. That's not what the difference is. So I'm going to tell you a little bit, and this is something that I thought about being here. It's a concept. When we are placed on this planet, we're not placed here by our own choice. Okay? So the fact, and this has nothing to do with my anonymity. My anonymity is I'm an addict. The fact that I'm a white Jewish male that's 53 years old from Brooklyn, New York, from an upper middle class family doesn't mean shit in Narcotics Anonymous. I got the same problem you got wherever you're from and whoever you are. The fact that I'm white, the fact that I'm Jewish, has nothing to do with it. So the outside, our skin, the way we look, if we're white, if we're black, if we're Japanese, Chinese, Lebanese, Portuguese, I mean, it doesn't matter. But what happens is we tend to be brought up in a culture. We tend to have ethnic background, which might have something to do with where we're placed on this planet to begin with. So that tells us a little bit about who we are. You know, Jewish people eat some strange foods. Okay, and so if we had a black person, a Jewish person, and a Chinese person, and we had the Jewish person grow up in the black family, and the Chinese person grow up in the Jewish family, and the black person grow up in the Chinese family, it would be weird. It would be different because it's on that level. Sometimes I think we confuse that with what's going on the outside. That these people do that and these people do this, and we look at it in the way they look on the outside. There's a deeper level that we come to of who we are on the inside, and that has to do with our disease and our addiction and who we are as a person. Do you know what? Every single person in this room has felt every single feeling that every other person has felt in this room. We all have that. This is what we have in common, and this is where the love is, and this is where the unity is in this fellowship. And I love it. This has been a fantastic weekend with lots of hugging and all sorts of good stuff going on. I've had the opportunity, because of being involved in service, to go to other countries where Narcotics Anonymous is. My understanding now, there's about 128,000 Narcotics Anonymous meetings in over 120 countries. I was at a convention in Israel, and I like to do a lot of H&I work. People that know me know that I do that. I'm going to be doing a good thing on Monday with that. But there were these two addicts from Israel, Jewish, that went down to a meeting in Alexandria, Egypt, Muslim. And they went down there every week to help get this meeting started, to do the meeting, crossing the borders and going back and forth. Reality is that we don't have borders in Narcotics Anonymous. We don't have the types of laws that society has, that if you're a convicted felon, you can't vote in the Fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous. So I believe this. I believe that us lowlife, us dregs, us scum of the earth, we are a part of what it's going to take to change this planet around, to make this planet one. And then I get way out there with this one. Then once we're one, then we can get visited from other planets and stuff like that. But we all know that that's already happened. They're just waiting for us to get it together so that we can join in. Yeah, the idea, the audacity, the self-centeredness for us to think that we're the only planet in the whole universe that has life on it, that's pretty self-centered, you know. And I got there from this concept of the whole universe by starting off with me as being one person and one individual. Today, I am no longer a part of the problem. Today, I am a part of the solution. I choose to do that. And on a daily basis, I don't really do much. If I look back on certain things, yeah, there's been around in recovery for us. There's a lot of people whose hearts we've touched one another and stuff like that. But I'm just one little tiny minuscule of that. But then there's all of us here, and there's other conventions going on elsewhere, and this and that, and it grows and it mushrooms and it changes. It doesn't say anything in the steps and traditions that I should recycle my garbage. But you know what? I've come to the understanding that that's something that I need to do for me in my recovery. The little things. We're addicts, man. Death in the family, overdoses, financial breakdown, bankruptcy, just relationships going, all of this type of stuff. We can handle that stuff, Stub your toe, bounce a check. We go crazy. We go nuts on the little things, And that's what we need to learn how to deal with. Oh, okay. This is the point where I don't know where I'm going. Okay? I'm there. I'm thinking, consider everything I want to say. Now, I'm going to let God do this type of thing. I have this disease. This disease is up here in my head, and it's still there. It still tells me to do stupid stuff. It still tells me to do things that I know that are going to be harmful to me and others. Okay? And I can't use this to do that. So one of the things that I've gotten good at over the years, and there's plenty of room for growth, but I don't say the first thing that comes to my mind out of my mouth. Too much, And if I did, you would laugh at it and think it was funny too. But so I'd sit there and smile, but I filter it a little bit. I filter it, and it comes down into my heart a little bit. I adjust it, and it comes up my heart, and it comes out from my heart in an entirely different way, because this is where my recovery is at. Now, it used to take me a while to do that. I used to have to think about it for a day or two, do a 10-step at night, and think, what I got to do, stuff like that. Now, it really doesn't take that long, a couple of breaths, less than 15 seconds, a lot of times, for me to be able to process what's going on in my head and what's going on in my heart. And it's definitely as a result of working this program. We have a lot of issues. Being involved in service, doing H&I work. One Monday, I'm going down with, I live near the Cincinnati area. I got a friend from Mansfield, Cleveland, talking about being in Ohio. We're going to meet in Columbus on Monday. We're going to be speaking for a half an hour. We're going to be talking to the State Department of Corrections and Rehabilitations, and we're talking to every facility, all 32 facilities in the state of Ohio. We're going to be talking to the recovery services supervisors about who we are, Narcotics Anonymous, and what we can do. In some of the facilities, we do great. We got all sorts of services going on. We're doing conventions in behind the walls. We're doing sponsorship behind the walls. We're linking people up and having, and then some are doing nothing. Here we are, we're on the outside. I don't know about anybody else, but things have changed for me a little bit. I'm used to going to 3 or 4 meetings a week, and since getting married and living over an hour from where I work right now, I'm making it to 1 or 2. But I'm doing my step order. I got a sponsor. I'm involved in service. Okay, so we got this H&I thing that we do, and we say, okay, we're going to bring an H&I meeting into the facility once a week, or every other week, or once a month. How is an addict in an institution going to stay clean, going to 1 meeting, 2 meetings, or 3 meetings a month? So we want to open up the doors to try to get more services in there, so that there's as much recovery, or the chance to be as much recovery on the inside, on the outside. And I had a dream years ago, being on the H&I committee. You got an institution, you got 9 cell blocks. You got a meeting going on in each cell block. You got 9 meetings going on. You get a GSR for that meeting. You got 9 meetings. And I'll tell you, I was from a small area to begin with. That institution can become an area of Narcotics Anonymous, and somehow get somebody from the outside to come in and carry the message of that area to the region. We're not there yet, but you know what? It's happening. There are addicts from the outside who are going into regular meetings in an institution, not an H&I meeting, a regular meeting in an institution, registered with World Services on the agenda for the area, and bringing out the conscience. We have addicts who are in institutions that are having a say-so of what happens in Narcotics Anonymous. So this stuff is starting to happen. The service part, I'm not going quite in order. I talked a little bit about myself. I talked a little bit about the God thing, so I guess it's okay if we talk about service now. Yes, picking up ashtrays, going in early, staying late, sponsoring people, that's all service. But the type of service I'm talking about is being elected by a group conscience to a service position that you do for a period of time that has guidelines that you follow to accomplish a particular task and stuff like that. That's the type of service that I'm talking about that makes a difference. Now, this fellowship has grown astronomically in the years. Okay? there are so many more members of Narcotics Anonymous than there were then, and there are still service positions that are not being filled. And most of the people that I know that do service are serving on more than one position. So there's a lot of people that are missing 25% of the base of this fellowship, of what this fellowship has to offer. So, I mean, that's something that we need to work on a little bit. It used to be for me that if I sponsored you, you was doing H&I. And if you wasn't doing H&I, then you wasn't doing shit. You know? So, but I'm a little bit more open-minded today. I've grown up a little bit. I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable about what's happening there. I'm just going to jump with whatever comes up here. There's a relationships and recovery, and I know when we talk about relationships and recovery, the first thought we have, okay, and I know what comes from my heart. Okay, when I think about relationships down here, I'm thinking about God, I'm thinking about sponsor, you know, thinking about service and people and stuff like that. Relationships, right. So we have the relationship thing. That's why we have friends in recovery. Somebody's keeping track. So the relationship thing, I have to go to relationships. They want to learn how to be in one, you know. So, but they have at the same time they have a meeting on the 10th, 11th, and 12th step. See, if you went to the meeting on the 10th, 11th, and 12th step, then you wouldn't need to be going to the meeting on relationships because you know we do it that way. There's nowhere in our literature where it says, don't get into a relationship till you have a year clean. I think there might be something that says, don't make any major decisions for a year, but I'm not even sure that that's not handed down to the sponsorship family. I'm not sure. I don't think we tell people that wait till you get a year clean because you have a year and 1 day, then you can be in a healthy, intimate relationship. I don't think that's why. I think it's so that if you have a year clean, when your relationship doesn't work out, maybe you won't use. I think a newcomer, I talk about newcomer being 2 years. Everybody says, well, a year, and then I say, well, no, it's 2 years. Oh, you just told me a year, and I got to go another year. But there's not too many of us actually do that. It takes 1 year to get your marbles back, another year to learn how to play with them. So, you know, we need to take it slow. Healthy, intimate relationship. I had no idea what that meant. First of all, I thought intimate means intimate. You know, that it's a sexual thing. And healthy is a word that I'm just now understanding. We have this one reading that we do in the fellowship that talks about being sick, addicts being sick, everybody else says sick. You know what? That's a matter of opinion. Today in my life, I am capable of being in healthy relationships, I'm capable of making healthy decisions, and I'm capable of trying to do the right thing for the right reasons on the part. And this is another part of the program, finding a new way to live, healthy. So, intimate, getting the understanding of intimate, getting into the fellowship, hanging out with men, and recognizing that I can have a healthy, intimate relationship with another human being who is male. And while I was out there scoping stuff out, I tried everything. I thought maybe, I think maybe being homosexual, heterosexual, being bisexual is a thing to do. Love everybody, right? It's not a matter of choice on this one. I'm hopelessly heterosexual, okay? Nothing, about that. Here I am in an intimate relationship with a man, and I'm not having sex with this person. If I can have a healthy, intimate relationship with a man and not have sex with them, then maybe I can have a healthy, intimate relationship with a woman and not have sex with them. How's that for a concept? Which took me, somewhere around 8 to 10 years before I figured that one out. We talk about addicts some addicts are sicker than others. I don't believe that. I think that some of the addicts are a little slower than others. If you're an addict, you're about as sick as you can get. I believe today, I got married on October 5th. Yes, thank you. It was a wonderful thing. And I'm really, really in love. I love the person more now than I did when I married him. I love them more when I married him when I asked them to marry me. And this feels like pretty right. It's the third time. And I don't want to go the third time to charm stuff because I know people that have been married 5 times. So what about them? But we're working on this healthy relationship thing, and it's happening. Now, I already divulged my birth thing there, and this is one of those culture things, being in a Jewish family. It's kind of like that, I don't want to mention any names of movies or anything like that, but they had this movie out about a particular, okay, never mind. But anyway, basically, in a Jewish family, there are no women on the planet good enough for the sons. It just doesn't happen that way. And my mother wasn't very pleased with my first two marriages or my first two mother-in-laws. And I love my mother, though she drives me crazy. But I went to her and I said, Ma, I've been thinking about this and I want to ask Chris to marry me. And I wanted to ask you how you felt about it before I asked her. And my mother told me, she said, if you do, it's the smartest thing you've ever done in your life. So, blessings, So now I'm 53 years old, and I'm finally, 53, I'm finally at a point where I want to be in a relationship, I want to be a husband, and I want to be a father. Finally, yeah. A little slow, but it's happening. I have inherited three stepchildren, a 16-year-old daughter, a 14-year-old son, and a 10-year-old daughter. And the only one that lives with us is the 10-year-old daughter. I have two younger brothers, and I have two sons of my own, so I don't know much about little girls. I'm learning. 10 years old, and she had a party at her house for her birthday. 16 10-year-old girls stayed at her house, and I had to help. So at some point, and I don't know why I'm telling you this story, just because it popped in there, But learning how to communicate, how to be in relationships, how to have people trust me. Most little kids see me, they start crying right away, And I know why, but I'm not ready to change that yet. So they get scared. They get scared. They saw something outside, and they thought they saw some eyes in the room, and they're all screaming and yelling and running around the house and stuff like that. So I go upstairs, and I like to ride motorcycles. So I come up, and I have this shirt that's short, and I have tattoos. And I said, now come here, girls. Let me just tell you what's going on. I said, I have a couple of Harley Davidson motorcycles in the garage. I'm a motorcycle guy. I have tattoos, and then I go like this, and I go like this, and I pump my arm up like that, and feel that muscle, huh? They go, really? I said, don't worry, I'm not going to let anybody harm you, not like anything happen. And I don't know where that came from to do that, but after that, things settled down and things were okay. What's happening is I am in whatever process that I'm supposed to be in. I believe that. I believe that. God gave us choice, for the most part. And it's up to us to exemplify that choice. I did not choose to become an addict. Why some people grow into it and some people grow out of it, I don't know that. I believe that addicts are blessed, that we have capabilities above and beyond of what we can do, and that our stamina and our strength, especially in numbers. So, perspective. How do we see things? How do we view things? In the last 20 years, the earth has probably gotten worse rather than better, as far as all the stuff that goes on and people wanting the money thing, putting other things first. I mean, if everybody followed the 12 steps, 12 traditions, we'd be pretty good. What's changed about me and my life and my happiness and the way that I feel is my perspective and the way that I see things. From my eyes, the world has changed for the better, and then, perhaps that's because I've changed for the better. Making the right decision for the right reasons. I made the wrong decision for what I thought was the right reasons a number of years ago, and I'm still paying consequences for it. It doesn't work. And I don't know that I like the words right or wrong or good or bad anymore. I think healthy or unhealthy probably says it pretty well. So an addict comes into this program for one day at one meeting and doesn't use the next day, in most cases, because the compulsion does last for a little while. So let's give it a month, okay? I'll be very loose on that. Give it a month. Stay clean for 30 days, go through whatever physical withdrawal you got to go through. Physical withdrawal is curable, the psychological withdrawal is not. And at the end of the 30 days, you now have a choice of whether or not you want to use it. And if I knew how to make people make the right choice, we'd have a lot more people in the fellowship if we had that one. There's a thing that I do with guys that I sponsor, guys that I work with. I have chosen to work in the field of recovery, and I'm choosing to maybe move away from that after so many years because I drive myself crazy. But I take myself everywhere I go, so it probably won't make any difference. But I tell them, I say, I have a cure for the disease of addiction. I want you to write down the 10 piece of paper, 10 things to do instead of using. Now, understand this: the obsession, the overwhelming desire to use, no matter what, is up here in your head. Okay. And if you're going to use your head to try to think things through, you're in big trouble, okay? So what we want to do is we want to stop making decisions from our head with thinking and start making decisions from our heart with feeling. How do we do that? How do we go 21 inches from our head to our heart? Slow the brain down, man. Slow it down. Our brains think so fast, it's incredible. We're just out there. I cannot talk as fast as I can think. So right now, by standing up here and sharing with you, I am slowing my brain down. The other thing is that I can't write as fast as I can talk. So when we talk about writing and journaling and writing the steps and stuff, there's a reason why we suggest that kind of stuff, because it works, it helps. Writing is a really, really good tool. And then you also write something down and go, see, where did that come from? I didn't even think of that. Huh? That's because it's from down here. So I ask these guys to write this down. I tell them, you know what? If you focus on something other than the using for 3 to 7 minutes, the obsession will go away. Now, it doesn't mean it won't come back again in 5 minutes, but if you focus on something else, it will go away. The more recovery-oriented it is, the quicker it will go away. Come down with 10 things to do, and I tell them, number 10, put my name, talk to Ivan. Recovery things, what can you do? Well, you can call your sponsor another addict. Don't say call Fred, call George, call Harry. Call your sponsor another addict. Go to a meeting. Pray or meditate, put them separately or together, however you choose. To me, praying is talking to God, meditation is listening to God. There is a difference there. I do a whole lot more talking than I do listening, so I need to work on that one. Listen to a speaker tape, write in my journal, do some step work, this, that. And then I tell them I'm going to make you a guarantee. Okay? If you do everything on this list, and at number 10 you come and talk to me because you still want to use, and after we talk, going over the list of everything, after we talk, if you still want to use, I'll take you out and I'll buy it for you. That's it. That's a good guarantee. I've done this literally over 1,000 times in my recovery. I do it on a regular basis, people I know. And I usually ask the question, how many times do you think I had somebody come in and say, hey, I did all these 9 things and I still want to use? The answer is 0. Not one time has anybody ever come back and say, hey, I did all these things, I still want to use, you owe me. Most of the times, unfortunately, didn't use the list. But those that did probably didn't get past 5 or 6. I heard a lady, I'm going to steal some stuff from some people. I heard a lady named Mona from Alabama share. 32 years, probably 34 by now. She says, I've been doing these 7 things, staying clean. I've been doing these 7 things every day in my recovery. And I'm sure after this length of clean time, I don't have to do all these 7 things every day. She said, but I don't know which one's keeping me clean, so I'm just going to keep on doing them all. Makes sense to me. Let's talk about medication. Not meditation, medication. Okay? I think sometimes we overdo things. Maybe because we're addicts, I don't know, but we can't use that as an excuse anymore. Oh, well, I'm an addict, that's why no. Sorry, can't use it anymore. We take that one away from you, bummer. There are some people that need to be on medication. Now, 6 years ago, I wouldn't take an aspirin. I have a high annual hernia. I got to take something for that. I got high blood pressure, runs in my family. My dad died of a stroke. I don't want to do that. Last year, I contracted prostate cancer. So they gave me these things to do, to take it, to get rid of it, and it's gone. In 1991, I was in a motorcycle accident. The policeman on the scene pronounced me dead. Thank God he was a policeman and not a doctor. I was in a hospital for a month. I was in a wheelchair for a month. I was on crutches for a month. And when I woke up, I didn't ask. When I woke up in the hospital, I was on a well, I don't want to use the name of a drug. I was on a painkiller drip, okay? Push the button, you get a little bit, you know, if you need stuff like that. Because I constantly had addicts coming by. We even had meetings in my room, and I would not push that button with an addict in the room. I ain't going to do that. You know, I ain't going to use it in front of nobody. But okay, and I didn't towards the end of my using at all. You know, so. But I got out of the hospital, and they gave me some of this medication to help with the pain. I could not literally touch my fingers to my lips. I couldn't bend my elbow that far, and my knee. And I had to go to physical therapy 3 times a week for who knows, I don't remember how many hours, for months. I needed to take a pain medication to be able to go to my therapy so that I can get better. The medication that I took was a part of my recovery and not a part of my addiction, and I know that here. Now, this is true. Okay, the other thing too is though my brain doesn't know the difference between prescribed medication and street medication, and it whacked me out up here. I had to go to tons of meetings. I had to talk to tons of people. I had to tell people what was going on, what was happening, because I tell you something. It was like clouds, man. It blocked me from my higher power. It did. It knocked me down spiritually, and I needed the fellowship to help to maintain me, and I did, and that it was something that I needed to do. Am I still clean for 21 years? Hey, I can tell you, it's nobody else's decision how long somebody's been clean. If you're not honest, you'll use again, but that's it. So we got people, and the doctors, yeah, they give it out too easily, I think, but there are some people, I think, that benefit by it. So if you're sitting there, not right at the moment, but at some point, if you're sitting there with a cigarette in one hand and a cup of coffee in the other hand, and you're telling some addict that you don't think they should be taking some medication and you're not their doctor, maybe you need to take a look at yourself. Nicotine and caffeine are mood-altering addictive drugs. And if we open up the possibility of changing our basic text, which I think let's leave it alone and do some other literature, there's a line in it that says we're a program of total abstinence from all drugs. I think we should take that line out. I'm not suggesting that we tell people don't drink coffee and don't smoke cigarettes. That would hurt our fellowship. But I think we should talk about it. I think we should talk about whether or not that line should be in our text. I don't think we should take it out, but I think if we talk about it, maybe a few people will say, you know what, that makes sense to me. I'm going to stop doing that. I can stand up here and I can do that, I don't smoke cigarettes, I drink coffee, although not to say that I don't have total abstinence from coffee, but if I smell it, it wakes me up, so. I do have a little problem with chocolate, but I'm working on that one, and there is caffeine in chocolate. But I think we need to watch out for that. We have a pamphlet that's called In Times of Illness. Good stuff. You want to read it or give it to somebody else to read about that. But that's an issue that we have in this fellowship. Talk a little bit about the steps and then core traditions and close up, and I'm not going to quote things. There was a period of time when I shared, and for about 5 years, where I went over my concept of every single step, and you know what, I got bored doing that. I'm sure a lot of other people did too, listening to that stuff. We talk about placing principles before personalities. That is a fantastic thing to do throughout the day in every area of your life. It really, I have learned stuff from people that because of the way they looked or because of one thing that they said, I totally shut them down and wrote them off. And because of this program and being a little bit more open-minded and willing, have learned things from people I never thought I could learn something from. Good for me. Talk about a God of our own understanding, and the only thing it talks about in our literature about that is loving, caring, and greater than ourselves. Wide open. There's another saying that we have in one of our steps, is that we practice these principles in all our affairs. What does that mean? That means we can do this in every area of our life, everywhere we go. That led me to the understanding that if I want a deeper concept of a God, of my higher power, I need to go someplace else to look a little bit deeper, because we don't talk about that much personally. And I've done that, and I've gone places, and I've talked to people. I'm on the Ministerial Association of Shelby County. I'm also on the Families and Children's First Council. I'm also on the Domestic Violence Coalition. I'm also on the Community Services Council. So I'm practicing these principles in all my affairs. I'm involved in service in my community, you know. I'm part of the solution. For the most part. This fellowship, this program, has given me so much, everything I would ever want. You know, I went from one job to another job 7 years ago, making half the money I was making. I have not had to sell my motorcycles. I have more CDs now than I used to. My wife and I just bought a home in a community where I didn't think that they would let me in, but they did because there's other people with motorcycles there. But amazing things, amazing things. And I'm busy, man. I'm busy. I'm dealing now. I only got my 2 kids. I got 3 stepkids. I got a job. I'm moving from one job to another. I got to drive an hour to get there in time. I got my own personal recovery and steps and guys that I sponsor. I've had a couple new guys that asked me to sponsor them. I do not have time for the fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous in my life. Because of Narcotics Anonymous, I am too busy. Sorry. But that's a perspective, and it's narrow, and it's not open. And the reality is there's never just 2 choices, all or none. There's always at least more than 2 options with anything. Some of them may not be very good, but they're there. The idea is that I do not put Narcotics Anonymous in my life. I put my life and everything in it, all my affairs, into Narcotics Anonymous. You know that there's enough room in this fellowship for all of us who are here already in this program, all our baggage, all our garbage, every single addict out there that's using right now, and every single addict out there that hasn't used yet, and every single addict that hasn't been born yet. There is enough room for all of us, all of our baggage and all of our crap in the fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous. So that takes away a lot of excuses that we might have for reasons why we can't do something. I'm learning about priorities. You know, I'm working on that one, not doing tremendous, but it's in there. It's in the steps and the traditions, everything that we need to know about life, about living together, about learning, about growing. It's in there, you know. And could I do a better job? Sure I could. Am I doing okay? I'm doing just fine, you know. Of course, they say I have to change the word if we're going to. I don't like to. Fine. I got to ask myself, how are they doing? Fine. Stands for frustrated, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. I'm fine, you know. We need to maybe express ourselves a little bit. I love talking to people, and I love talking to all people, and checkout counters and bus drivers and wherever I go. So if somebody asks me how you doing, how's your day, what's going on, we're going to be talking for a few minutes here, you know. so watch it, you know. Okay. It's one of those things, you know, when you get done, you think about all the things, oh yeah, I wanted to share about that stuff, but it's having God in my life just lets me share what I need to share for me and hopefully share something that you need to hear. I will bring my camera up here so I can take a picture. Of course, my battery's not working right now, so it's not working. Anonymity. Anonymity, I used to think anonymity meant you just don't use your last name. It's not what anonymity is. Then I thought anonymity is confidentiality. Anonymity means you don't talk about anybody else. Anonymity means we are all the same. There is no difference between one and the other. We are anonymous. Anonymous unity, anonymity. I had a thought on that one, and I'm the only one that knows where I was going with that. Tell me all you ever do is say, do me, buy me, get me, bring me. You know, unless he always bought me what he wanted me to have. Then when I asked for something I wanted, was like it. And I have a hard time asking for certain things, material things. I don't have a hard time asking for help or direction, stuff like that anymore. My father sit there with a can of beer in one hand, a cigarette in the other, say, don't drink beer, don't smoke cigarettes. You know what? If I want to emulate something with my children, guys I sponsor, guys I work with, if I'm not doing it, doesn't mean anything. So it's not about what I say, it's about what I do. So we're gonna do this little thing that I do, and I'm gonna prove to you, and I'm setting you up for it in advance. I'm gonna prove to you that it's what I do that counts and not what I say. Okay? So we're gonna do it. It's fun. Everybody, take your right hand, put it up next to your head. It's fun. Put your forefinger to your thumb. Put it on your chin. Okay. Did you do what I said, or did you do what I did? I said put it on your chin. That's it, man. That's it. And I have people who have seen me do this 3 or 4 times that still go like that, you know. But that's the living proof. And if you're feeling a little foolish or whatever like that, that's it, man. That's what we all do, man. But that's the reality of the situation. The thing is, and I say the bottom line. Sometimes I think I say that too much. We used to say, work the steps or die MF. Okay? I think we need to go back to that. Keep coming back. Keep coming back. But it's not okay to use. And sometimes I think we see people who come, oh, it's okay to use it. It is not okay to use. But if you do, come on back. It's not okay to use. So, no matter how many times somebody goes out there, as long as they come back one more time and they go out, they got it. The reality is, if it's you, no matter how many times you have gone out and you have come back, please keep coming back. Right now, for every single person in this room, including me, right now, this very moment is the easiest it's ever going to be for you to stay clean. It's progressive disease. You go back out, it's a little bit rougher. You can always do it as long as you're sucking air, breathing air, but right now is the easiest time. Never, never give up on another addict. And never, ever give up on yourself. Thanks a lot, Michelle.